Welcome to Navigating the Customer Experience. Want to improve your organization's customer service? Looking for insider tips to knock your customer socks off? Then you're in the right place. Here's your host, Yannick Grant.
Welcome to Navigating the Customer Experience. And on today's episode, we have with us our very own business coach, Marc Mawhinney. Marc is on a mission to help coaches build stronger businesses. He's a lifelong entrepreneur. He achieves this with his podcast, Natural Born Coaches, and his one-on-one group and online coaching programs. He frequently makes media appearances and is a contributor for Entrepreneur.com. So, without further ado, I would like to introduce Marc. Welcome, Marc.
Hey, Yannick. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. So before we start out asking questions and going back and forth about customer experience and all of the things that you have to contribute, we like to get to know a little bit about our guests. So could you share with us a little bit about your history and, your journey and how it's gotten to you to where you are today?
Well, I love the topic for your podcast because I've kind of seen it from both sides of the fence. In my past life, it wasn't online. It was in real estate. I did that for over a decade, and bricks and mortar. You know how real estate goes. And now I'm in the coaching world where everything's done online. And so there's two really parts of my adult life. My past life is real estate for over a decade and went through a lot of ups and downs. The one big down I went through is a business closure that ended up working out well because I wouldn't be talking with you today. I wouldn't be into coaching if I'd still be in real estate. So it was an interesting transition, but I was helped back to my feet and made a comeback with the help of coaches and mentors and so on. So that's how I got into the coaching world and started doing it myself. And now here I am today. So that's kind of my life in a nutshell. Life in 30 seconds.
All right. Thank you so much, Marc. So as you said, the podcast is about navigating the customer experience, but a lot of times we try to diversify the content of our conversation to get our guests to really talk about not just customer experience, but how they can be a better individual. I guess kind of like what you were saying a while ago, that you had mentors and persons that were supporting you, that you were able to make a transition from one field into a completely different field, and you're successful at it, So could you share with us what's your view on customer experience, both as a customer and as a business owner?
Well, customers are kind of important because you don't have a business without customers. So customers and clients are important. However, and I hope I don't get booted off your show, but just to play devil's advocate to what you hear out there a lot is a customer is always right. That's been hammered into our head. And I agree to a certain point that, that's obviously important to keep in mind. But I also think that you can go too far the other way. And I see that in my industry all the time where people give power to the greasy wheel that's just complaining, right? Mm-hmm. And it's not fair to other customers who play by the rules. So that's why I joked around saying, I hope I don't get kicked off by saying the customer isn't always right. But I think that there has to be a balance and there has to be respect in both the business person or the entity side and the customers as well. So I have some different opinions probably than most people when it comes to customer service. I think you want to knock your customers' socks off and you want to do a good job so you can get referrals and repeat business and so on. However, I do think that you have to be tough sometimes as well. And there has to be a line somewhere that differentiates from how most people operate with the customer is always right.
Okay. So in terms of your business, so your business is completely online, right?
Yeah. I'm on the East Coast of Canada and I have one client who's local and she came to me completely by accident. So I only work with coaches. I don't work with bricks and mortar businesses or anything. My niche is helping coaches grow their businesses. And I have one client local, but even then we still work online on Skype is how we connect and do our sessions and so on. Most of my clients are in the United States, but I've got some in the UK. I've got a couple in Dubai and so on. So there are people all over as well, but it's completely online.
And how do you differentiate your online experience versus when you were working, in the face-to-face kind of environment like the real estate? Do you think there's a differentiation in terms of how you manage the customer experience?
Not a whole lot. The difference isn't so much between online and offline for me. I think the difference for me is more the industries, real estate compared to coaching. So, for example, for real estate, in my market, we had a couple hundred real estate agents. And if the client said jump, you asked how high because it was very easy for them to pull out and say, okay, I'm going to call another agent, forget it. And then you wouldn't want to lose that commission, because people like to eat and have a roof over their heads and, all that fun stuff. So that always bugged me with real estate. It sort of grinded my gears a little bit because I felt like there should be more control on the end of the agents, and a little bit more power on that end, because you could work with somebody for a long time and then not get paid. So coaching, not saying that there's some people that operate the same way with coaching and they just completely do whatever anyone says and they work with people who aren't the ideal fit for them and so on. But those are usually the coaches who aren't very happy and they're not doing too well. I like coaching because I took the experiences from real estate. Now with coaching, I'm very clear on who I'll work with and who I don't want. If someone doesn't fit that criteria that I have for my ideal client, then I don't feel bad about just letting them move on and they can find somebody else. And I can say that I'm much less stressed. I look at where I'm at today compared to when I was 20 something doing real estate. There were clients that I was like, oh man, I really don't want to talk to this person. This person is a bleep, and just going to ruin my day. Some of them, not all, handful. And coaching, I can say that I really have fun working with my clients because I've got a tighter set of criteria with who I'll work with.
Awesome. So one of the things that jumped out at me when you were speaking a while ago was from time to time, I'll have business owners ask me if it's okay to fire a customer. So it kind of got me back to thinking about what you were saying a while ago, that there are times in a business when it's clear that this customer is just not the right fit for your business. And if you don't get rid of them, they can actually serve as poison for your other customers. Do you agree with that?
Oh, exactly. One of the coolest experiences I remember back in real estate was for probably my first 4 or 5 years as an agent. I didn't fire clients. I would work if somebody was a real difficult person, I would try to work with them and try to swing them around. And I was out actually golfing with another real estate agent. We didn't get out to golf much, but we did get out, on a Friday afternoon. And I remember his phone rang, his cell phone, just before he was teeing off. And you could hear some loud talking, coming from the other end of this phone. And without missing a beat, I remember the agent saying, yeah, you know what? This isn't working out. I'm going to cancel your listing. And that was it. And he said, have a good day. And he just hung up.
Wow.
And then he teed off and hit it, the middle of the fairway, a nice drive and stuff, and did it like a boss. And I thought, wow, that was cool. Didn't rile him or whatever. He just said, yeah, I don't want to work with this person anymore. And that did change my feelings back then. And I thought, wow, that's really cool how he did that, because that one person could affect every other client if it's draining on your energy and all that. It's not very good. So I'm very clear with that now. I've been very lucky with coaching compared to real estate. I haven't attracted a lot of difficult clients for the coaching side of it. Mm-hmm. I find with coaching, it's not so much people screaming at you. Say with real estate, if you haven't sold a person's house in 6 months, it's a slow market or it's overpriced or whatever, you get some sellers screaming at you because they're stressed out. It's their biggest investment. They want to get moved and so on. With coaching, you don't get that as much. With coaching, the type of bad client that you get is one that's not completely motivated, and they're maybe only 70% motivated. They don't want it bad enough. Maybe they're having to cancel some calls. They're not getting the action steps done in between sessions or whatever, but it's usually not people screaming at you like it was in real estate.
Which is a better experience, I'm sure.
Oh my gosh. I can remember I went down to Las Vegas back in 2006. And well, here's another podcast interview. We won't get into it today, but my ex-wife and I got married in Vegas back then. And I kept my cell phone on at all times back then because I struggle with workaholism. Like that's something I've always struggled with, working too much. And I kept my cell phone on, and I can remember we arrived in Vegas first afternoon. We go out on the strip. And I get a call from back home because one of the houses that we had listed, the pipes froze. It was a vacant house. We're in Canada. It's February back home. And the pipe froze and just totally trashed the house. Somebody turned the heat off that was showing the house, and it became this big kerfuffle. And that was my first hint that, hey, do I want to be doing this for the rest of my life? If I can't take a week to go down to Las Vegas without dealing with this stuff and, having people screaming at you and stuff, probably not. It was fun in my 20s and enjoyed that part, but not going forward. So it's nice now I've learned how to, okay, I'm off the clock. My clients aren't bugging me. They're not screaming at me because their house is flooded. Now now in the coaching end. But yeah, just little things like that, which I didn't realize back then. I was all real estate. That was my first experience really in business as an adult. So I just thought, oh, that's normal. If you want to make money, you have to deal with all this horse crap. And now I see with coaching, you don't have to do that. Now you can work with people you want to work with, and you can have that level of respect. And business is much, much more fun now than it was back then.
Ah, that's good. So we spoke about, choosing your ideal client, and that sometimes you really have to boot the customer who's not suited for your business, right?
Yes.
But in terms of like, as we said, with online business, let's say your online coaching business, let's say I didn't know you and I Googled, a coach for coaches, and let's say you came up in the top 10 and I click on your name. How easy is it for me to get in touch with you and, connect with you through your website? Once I send that message, you'll respond. And what's your turnaround time for responding?
Well, I actually just went through a website revamp, so that's a great question because I did a lot of thinking around this. So when I first started coaching, I would put my booking link, for my online calendar all over the internet. I'd be tweeting it. I'd be saying, book a call with me, no obligation, free call. And, I would put it all over Twitter and just everywhere. And I get some people booking it. Now, some became clients, but a lot of people that did that weren't the right fit at all. They were just not even close to becoming a coach. It was something they thought about maybe down the road for a few years. I had some really weird calls that were booked with people that I knew within about 2 seconds. Like I'd have somebody laying down on the couch in a ball cap, and it'd be dark and stuff. And not saying that you have to wear a 3-piece suit for your call with me or whatever, but, at least, don't be laying down on your couch with a ball cap pulled over your face in our first call. That's a little weird.
Right.
So when I revamped and relaunched the website in the summer, I gave a lot of thought to that because I don't want it to be so difficult that it's impossible to book a call with me. It's like trying to get an appointment with President Obama. But also I don't want it to be so open like a lot of coaches do with, hey, please book a call with me and I won't ask you any questions, just book it. So the way I have it set up with mine is people have to go through a couple pages on the website to get to my calendar. And there's an application form. I say application form, input form asking questions. Hey, what are your goals? What are your challenges? Different questions like that to get an idea. There's maybe 10 questions, and it should take somebody, I don't know, less than 5 minutes to do it, probably a couple minutes, but at least then they're showing a level of commitment that they're taking time to fill out that application form. Then they get forwarded to my scheduler, and then I get that booking request, so I can choose whether to accept the request or reject it. So if I look, one of the questions on there is how much do you have to invest in a coach? And if someone says $0 or I want to spend $20 a month on a coach, and they're not going to fit my pricing structure, and I don't want to waste their time or my time, and I won't take that call. That's kind of how I work it out. I'm in the middle where it's not too easy to get a call with me, but it's not so difficult that they can't reach me. Like if you look at some of the really heavy hitters out there, trying to think of a good example, I think Lewis Howes might be one that comes to mind. If you go to his website, it's very difficult because he's probably getting just massive amounts of requests every day, or John Lee Dumas or whatever. It can be difficult to get through to them. And I'm kind of in the middle for where I have it with access.
I find it interesting that you indicated like the Lewis Howes and the John Lee Dumas. And the reason why I'm saying it is because let's say as a podcaster that's seeking maybe one of those persons to be a guest on their show, you have a website, and I think all websites, if I'm not mistaken from my research, you should have a contact us page, and your contact us page should actually work. It's not just there for, the beautification process. I get extremely frustrated when you're trying to reach out to someone and every medium that they have that's in public domain on social media, it doesn't really facilitate any form of connection. You don't even get back an autoresponder that says, we received your email and someone's going to get back in touch with you in 24 hours, even if it's not the person directly you're trying to get through to, but at least you got some feedback, because that is a part of the customer experience as well.
It is. And I think with some of those people, they're probably getting hit up with so many requests in the run of a day to go on shows or people to be on their shows. They just throw their hands up and say, well, we got to put up they got to channel their inner Donald Trump and build a wall. So build that wall in between so no one can get in. And I get where they're coming from. because I know that feeling, because sometimes I feel overwhelmed. I'm getting, a lot of requests coming in and stuff. So I can imagine how Lewis or John feel with theirs. But I think overall that it's good to have some sort of contact. Now, I don't think that there should be an expectation that you get back to people right away. So I had this debate with a friend of mine. I won't say his name, you know him, but so we'll call him Tim M, but I won't say who Tim is, and he lives in my neighborhood, my neck of the woods. So Tim and I were discussing, because I was going to set up an email autoresponder when somebody sent an email, and it was going to basically say, thanks for your email. I'll be back to you usually within 24 hours, something like that.
Right.
And he disagreed with me. He said, no, that sounds arrogant, makes it sound like your time's more valuable than mine, and I wouldn't deal with you. And I said, geez, Tim, I said, I don't find that to be arrogant at all. It's saying, hey, I got your email. You're not going to get an answer back within 5 minutes. And this goes back to, with the customers always right, but then also not even customers, people who aren't customers, is that expectations from some that you have to get back to them within 13 seconds or they'll go elsewhere. And that's a big red flag. I probably don't want to work with a person that wants an answer in 13 seconds anyways, because that's showing that it's not going to be a fun experience going forward with it. So I didn't set up the autoresponder yet on the email, but it's something I may set up down the road. It's interesting. It shows how a lot of people think. They think, oh, you can't do that. You're going to offend people if they don't think you're sitting on your email waiting to respond to them right away. And the way I kind of look at it, if I send an email to someone and I get an answer back within a minute, I'm thinking, wow, are they that busy if they're able to get back to me within 1 minute? I'm not surprised if it takes a few days for someone to get back to me, because if they're successful, they're busy.
Right. Well, just to shed some light on what you're saying, the global standard for email response is 24 hours. And as more of the workforce or the customers that engage with companies are millennials, their expectations are a little bit higher than the baby boomers, and right. They expect instant gratification. That's why apps like Snapchat and Periscope do so well, because people want things now. So yeah. If you get more of those customers, I guarantee their expectations will be for you to respond to them immediately. I mean, just yesterday, I was talking to my sister, and she's actually thinking of moving to Canada by the end of the year. She's a dietitian, and she needs to send in some documents to the College of Dietetics in Toronto, and they need the documents all together, hard copies. Now, in Jamaica, customer service is not exactly the best. And so, she's requesting some information from some bodies that will be basically validating her being a dietitian. And they're taking forever to get it done and everything. And she says, I sent this company an email, and I honestly prefer to call them, because when you send them an email, they take days to get back in touch with you, and I need the response now. So, I think you have to look on it from both perspectives, and I can see where she's coming from, because the stuff she's trying to gather, it's time sensitive. There's a date and there's a deadline. So if you're sending a company some information and their role and responsibility is to validate your profession, but they're taking days to get back in touch with you, it makes it that even more difficult for you to facilitate the information that the overseas company needs from you.
Exactly. So I think that's a little different than maybe what we talked about. Say a customer experience. If I'm working with a coaching client, I'm very clear in the beginning that, if you have any questions, send me a message. I'm not saying wait till our next call and then you have to stew on it for days, but you're not going to hear back from me necessarily within 5 minutes. I'm right there and something happens that, you connect with me. There's a chance you could hear back sooner, but it could take a little bit of time, there, because I'm busy. I'm working with other clients, and you wouldn't want me to interrupt our time together when I'm working with you to answer somebody else. Sure. So it worked the same way as well. What I find difficult nowadays is Facebook. I know you're big on Facebook too. Facebook's my preferred playground for social media. It's where I get a lot of my business, and I'm connected with a lot of clients and people in my industry on Facebook. I find that the level of expectation for a response on Facebook is even shorter. It's almost like people expect an answer right away. So I'm always very careful of Facebook. I try to stay off Messenger a bit and not be always going on there, because people expect a much quicker response in email, in my experience at least.
That is true. That is true. Again, because it's an instant messaging app, just like WhatsApp or any of those, the expectation is that you respond to them immediately. So yeah, I can understand where you definitely gauge your responses where that is concerned.
Yeah.
Okay, so what are some everyday solutions that you believe can help improve customer experience on a global level, just from your own experience as a customer and as a business owner?
I think it's really important to put yourself in the customer's shoes, which sounds like common sense, but I don't think it's very common. I think there's a lot of businesses not looking at things from the customer side of it. So what I've always made an effort in both before with real estate and with coaching is to try to put myself in the client or customer's shoes and look at it that way. And then it's kind of neat to give yourself that perspective, because it's very easy when we're the ones doing the business and we're doing this 24/7 and we're always looking at it from these eyes, this set of eyes. It's very easy to get lost in that and forget how the customer sees things. So I think it's important to do that. And then also feedback, I think feedback's incredible. I'm big on surveying and all that stuff as well. So I think the feedback's something that's underutilized, and I think more entrepreneurs should be using it.
What are some ways you think coaches or business owners can encourage their customers to actually provide feedback? Because sometimes you send the surveys out and people don't actually complete them. Is there a way to incentivize, to motivate them to complete the surveys?
Well, you could. Money talks for a lot of people, but in my experience, you don't have to be throwing money at people or prizes or anything to get the answers. I think the biggest key is you have to remind people and sometimes beat them over the head with that survey. So when it's not enough. For example, I have coaches who I'm working with who do up surveys and then they share a survey. And then we're talking, I say, so how did you make out? How many responses? Oh, I only had 2 responses, which is strange compared to other clients of mine that have 75 or 125 or something. And I say 2 responses. Like, how many times do you share it? Well, I posted it once. And it was Wednesday morning at 3:38 in the morning. Why didn't anyone answer it, right? You got to do more. You got to do more than that. You have to post it every day, for a week. You got to send it out to your email list, post in a few different places because people are missing it. Just because you're posting it once doesn't mean they're going to actually see it. But I think too many people cop out and say, there, I finished. I posted it once. They're afraid, I think, they don't want to annoy people. And they say, I already posted. I don't want to keep posting it. Someone might drop me off Facebook. Well, if somebody's going to drop you off Facebook for posting a survey that's going to help your business, you don't want them on your Facebook anyways. They're not a supporter. Why would you want them occupying any space on your social media, right?
True, that's true. You definitely need people in your corner that are supporting you.
The frenemies, they call them. There's a lot of people, they say they're friends. They're not really supporters. And I don't know. The older I get, I lose patience for people like that. I want people in my world that want to see me succeed. So I get people dropping me sometimes. I'm sure people listening have run into this too, where by some fluke, you hover over someone's name that commented on a friend's post or something, and you knew that you were connected with that person at one time, but then you see add friend, which means basically they dropped
They disconnected you.
Yeah. And I used to be like, oh man, what did I do to piss off Billy? Geez, we went to high school together and we got along great. I saw him at the mall 2 months ago. He didn't say anything, and you can drive yourself crazy trying to wonder. Now I take the approach, you know what? I don't want them. Who knows? Maybe they unfriended by mistake or whatever, but I don't want them on my list. If they're ticked off that, Marc's sharing his podcast a lot or his blog posts or whatever, then just get the heck off the list and get someone on there that actually wants to hear your stuff and that's supportive. But I think that too many people get really worked up about being unfriended by people, and
right.
Don't let the door hit you on the way out. Like, see you later.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. What do you think about, from a customer experience, what do you think about like businesses who, when they do post, they tag like 100 people in their post? I know Facebook has a filter where you can accept the tags to be posted on your timeline, but do you think it's a very good business practice to be tagging people in your posts?
I would be careful doing it because it is a pet peeve of mine at times. It's kind of like when people throw you into a Facebook group without permission. Let's say, for example, you and I, before you launch your show, you and I talked a lot and we know each other well and stuff like that. If you tag me into a post about this podcast, I'm not going to get offended and say, oh, geez, look what Unique did. Mm-hmm. But what some people are doing are people that I don't even know that are doing, MLM or something, network marketing. No offense to anyone that's into MLM. It's not my thing. I just don't like it. And they'll tag me into it and just to get up onto my wall and stuff. And that's a little different than if it's someone like you with your show doing it. So I would be very careful doing it if it's warranted and if there's a relationship there, but also don't do it every single day either. So I have a couple people on my Facebook that are great people. I like them, but every day I'm getting notified that they tagged me into something with their business. Yeah, that's a little different. That can rub people the wrong way. So you got to use your judgment, kind of be smart about it.
Very true. Very true. Awesome, Marc. So can you share with us, how do you stay motivated every day?
Oh, well, I read a lot, motivational stuff and personal development. I am very careful blocking people out of my life that drain energy and aren't, as we talked about, aren't people in my corner. So I've gotten very good with that. And then the other way I stay motivated and conserve energy is I don't jump into things that don't warrant my energy. So it used to be, for example, someone would send me an email if I had a typo in an email to my list or in a Facebook post, or they would message me with some inane something that was really silly. And then we'd get into a discussion about it and stuff. And now I just ignore it. I'm like, is this really a big deal? So the other perfect example in my Facebook group recently, you're in the coaching jungle. If anyone wants to join, it's thecoachingjungle.com. I posted a poll and somebody said, Marc, I had 3 options for the question, and they felt that option number 3 should have been in the place of option number 2, and option number 2 should have been number 3. That would have looked like a better order.
What is it better?
Exactly. It's questions, right? So she actually, said that, and this is something that was on her mind and threw her off on her day, that the poll questions were, she felt out of order. I didn't even answer. I'm like, give me a break, come on. But that explains why there's a lot of coaches or a lot of entrepreneurs who are struggling. They're putting their attention somewhere else. And don't get me started about the American election. I mean, I'm not even in the States. I'm in Canada, and I have to be careful, put blinders up and not get hauled into it, especially with the conventions that went on and everything else. People just wasting tremendous amount of energy talking about Hillary Clinton, Donald Trump, and, everything else. And I think that's dangerous. I think I stay motivated because at the end of the day, I focus on what's important for me. And I don't get into these petty little squabbles, which can happen so easily online.
True, that is true. And you can waste a lot of your day, like just scrolling through Facebook, reading all these comments and watching these things that, if you add up the amount of time that you spend doing these things that are not actually helping you reach closer to your actual goals, you're really wasting time.
Facebook's really smart. The trending stories on the right-hand side?
Yeah.
Facebook knows that I'm a big baseball fan, and they know that they know certain things. I like superhero movies, so I'll be popping into Facebook and I'll see something about the upcoming Justice League movie with Batman, Superman stuff, and they're trying to get me in there. I click on that could suddenly turn into 20 minutes down the rabbit hole, right?
Sure.
So yeah, they're very smart that way. So you do have to be careful because it'd be very easy to get sucked into non-income producing things. The 2 most important words in my whole vocabulary, the ones I keep right in my mind, is the words "the mission." And it sounds funny, but what I mean by that is anytime I'm debating whether to do something or spend energy on something, I'm repeating to myself, is it serving the mission, my mission? And my mission is to build a business that's helping coaches, grow theirs. And if it's something that doesn't serve the mission, then it's very easy to say, nah, I'm not going to get involved in that. I'm not going to get into a political discussion or a typo or a, question about anything. I'm going to just stay focused on the mission.
Very true. All right. So can you share with us what's one online resource, tool, website, or app that you absolutely cannot live without in your business?
There's a few, but the big one for me, my online calendar. I know that's not a terribly unique answer or unique answer, but it's true. Without the calendar, I couldn't do my business. So I see entrepreneurs that don't have an online calendar, and I'm thinking, oh man, spend a few dollars. Well, actually, you don't have to spend a few dollars. There's free options like Calendly. I use Schedule Once, but if you don't have an online calendar, I have to question if you should be in business, because why the heck wouldn't you? You're letting other people control your time, and it's just not a good way to do it. So for me, it's the online calendar.
Okay. And the one you use, you said, is Schedule Once, right?
My other one is Aweber. That's my email provider. I'm, as you know, big on daily emails to my list, and Aweber is the other one, best 20-some bucks a month I could spend.
True. Very true. And they do have a good back-end support as well.
Yes.
What are some of the books that have had the biggest impact on you? Because you did say that you love to read.
Well, I'm looking at my bookshelf in my office now, and there's so many good ones. I mean, Think and Grow Rich, obviously. Again, that's not a very unique answer. So Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill was the first ever self-help book I ever read, and I love that one. I'll mention one that not a lot of people know about, but it's had just as much impact or more on me, and that would be Thick Face, Black Heart by Ching Chu. That's an amazing book. So if anyone hasn't read that, I think that's one that they should read. And yeah, I mean, there's way too many. I could talk for hours here looking at some of the ones that I've got in my bookshelf, but those are two big ones. If you haven't read them, I'd recommend reading those ones.
Awesome. So remind us of the name again. Thick Face, Black Heart?
Thick Face, Black Heart by Ching Chu. So she wrote it back in the early 90s. She's passed away, unfortunately. But what it is essentially is it's kind of a combination of Think and Grow Rich and The Art of War. Mm-hmm. So it's how you can be ruthless to achieve your goals in life, but not evil ruthless. Ruthless can be good, but it's really good for, especially if you're struggling with, let's say, the opinions of others, you're worried about what people think of you, then this book is definitely a must read. So I first found out about it a couple of years ago. I just saw a picture on my Facebook feed. I'd never heard of that book, and I got it. And I thought, oh, wow, I wish I'd read this back in 2009 when I went through that business closure. I would have loved it. It would have been so valuable back then. But since then, now I read it a couple times a year. I mean, it's that good. So definitely pick up that book.
Okay. All right. What's one thing that's going on in your life right now that you're really excited about and you're working on either to develop yourself or your people?
Well, I'm really excited what's happening in the Facebook group. I mentioned the coaching jungle. We've got, as we're recording this, over 2,000 people, 2,300 coaches in there. So the coaching jungle is really exciting to see what's happening in there every day. And then I've got some big things planned. I'll play the top secret card. I can't reveal too much yet, but it's based around the first step was the website revamp with naturalborncoaches.com. And then there's some other things being rolled out just to let me reach even more people. So a lot of my focus going forward is I'll still do my one-on-one and my group coaching because I love those things, working directly with people, but I have to look at other ways that I can reach people without being directly in front of them. So more with my online programs and membership options and stuff like that.
Awesome. Well, we look forward to it. And you have a program, an online program that's out, right? Your first 5 clients. Tell us a little bit about that.
Spoiler alert, it's how you can get your first 5 clients. And it's for coaches, so it's how they can get those important first clients, because those are your most important clients. If you can get those first 5, then you're rolling. And when I say first 5, I don't mean freebies or discounted ones. I mean actually paying you what you're worth. So your first 5 clients is the online program, and your first5clients.com is the website. And the other thing I'll mention too is I have an ebook at the website that I just got up, and it's called The Real ABCs of a Successful Coaching Business. That one's at naturalborncoaches.com, but I crammed a lot into those 26 lessons from A, B, C, all the way to Z. You can get that. Naturalborncoaches.com is where you can see everything that I'm up to.
Awesome. Great. And just to let you guys know, I'm a part of Marc's Your First 5 Clients, and it's been a wonderful experience so far. I think I'm at module 5.
Cool.
And I can't wait to finish. I've learned a lot through the experience, and I think it would be great for anyone that's thinking to move their business either from brick and mortar to becoming an online coach or even to becoming a face-to-face coach. There are a lot of great nuggets. There are a lot of great secrets that Marc shares with you based on his own experience and exposure to other persons that you can gain that experience from just by being a part of that course.
And you were telling me you've made $1.2 million in 5 weeks, I think. Or is it 1.1 million, I think? So, yeah.
True.
So Unique guarantees it. You'll do that well and working 5 minutes a day. No, you'll have to put some sweat equity into it. But yeah, it's no more than a couple hours a week of homework through there.
Very true. Very true. So can you tell our listeners where they can find you online?
Yep. naturalborncoaches.com.
All right. Are you on Twitter or Facebook?
All over the place. So all links are there at the website. Facebook's my big place, but I am on Twitter, LinkedIn, and all the others. So if you go to naturalborncoaches.com, you can find all those links.
Awesome. So if you guys want to take it a step further and connect with Marc, which I recommend and urge that you do, I don't regret hiring Marc as a podcast coach. He's been so much more than just a podcast coach for us. And he's really helped me to open my mind for what possibilities really exist for my own growth and development. So those of you that are listening, I would encourage you to connect with Marc, try to get a part of his course, try to be involved in all the things that he's sharing. sign up for his newsletters. He shares really great stuff every day, and just really be a part of what he's trying to accomplish in terms of growing persons as better coaches. So Marc, before we complete the show, one of the things we like to ask our guests is, what is one quote or a saying that, during times when they buck up on stumbling blocks, they kind of go back to that quote or that saying, and it helps to re-energize them and get back on track? Do you have one for yourself?
I have a few. One that I've always loved, Ayn Rand said, it's not a question of who's going to let me, it's who's going to stop me. So I always love that quote. And I think anyone that hasn't read Ayn Rand, Atlas Shrugged and stuff, I think that's required reading for entrepreneurs. But I love that quote.
Okay. Do you spell the...
Yeah, her name's spelled A-Y-N and then Rand, R-A-N-D. So she wrote Atlas Shrugged, The Fountainhead, and some great books.
Good stuff. So we got a lot of stuff out of this show. So again, we want to thank Marc for taking some time out of his very busy schedule. Eventually he's going to be busy like John and Lewis Howes, and then we won't be able to get in touch with him. So I'm glad
I'll
we got
always have a contact on my page. I won't forget the people.
Awesome. So we want to thank you, Marc, for taking the time to sit with us here today and share with our audience on navigating the customer experience. And we really encourage you, if you are really touched by the things that Marc shared with us and you want to grow your business or grow yourself or take your personal development to another level, maybe there's an area that you're a subject matter expert in and you believe you'd be a good coach for it. His ABCs of coaching actually gives recommendations as to coaching businesses that you could think about going into. So again, you can pick that up off his website. Marc is definitely the person for you to contact for that. So thank you again, Marc. It was a pleasure.
Thanks, Unique.
All right. So come join us again on Navigating the Customer Experience. And again, if you want to learn more and connect more with us, you can join our Facebook group. It's a private group for all of our past guests, listeners, subscribers, and we share great nuggets in there, connect with persons, any questions you may have, any comments, any problems that you may have in your business that you may want recommendations or answers to. It's a good place to get that kind of information. So you can head over to Facebook. It's Navigating the Customer Experience Community. And please feel free to follow us on Twitter at NavigatingCX. So thanks again, and we'll see you next time. We really appreciate your support of this podcast. If you want to grow your business even more or improve your leadership skills or train your team members in the art of customer service with skills such as empowerment, speed, identifying and understanding customer needs, handling your customer complaints, and also learning more about your customer lifetime value through our customer retention value calculator, please visit our website at uniquegrant.com or give us a call at 305-848-0815 or send us an email at unique@navigatingthecustomerexperience.com. We also provide our clients with extensive research data about what really happens in their business and how their customers actually feel through our mystery shopping and customer satisfaction surveys. We will visit the branches, we test through telephone calls and email correspondence, and we provide you with a full report filled with graphs and data that can be used as strategies to improve your customer experience and net promoter score. We are here to help you and be your partner for change. Please head on over to Facebook and come join in on our Facebook group, Navigating the Customer Experience Community, where all our past guests and subscribers hang out and share insightful information on customer experience, personal development, business growth, customer journey mapping, technology, and so much more. Remember to tune in weekly through your podcast app if you are an Apple user, Stitcher Radio, or SoundCloud for Android users, and you can also listen directly from our website, uniquegrant.com. Please feel free to share with your friends and family.
Thanks for listening. For more awesome resources to take your customer service game to another level, head over to navigatingthecustomerexperience.com. See you next time.